Thank you for volunteering to become part of the American Culinary Federation Certified Culinary Educator Video Review Team. We value your expertise in the ever-expanding demands of our Educator certification evaluation system. You are some of our more active volunteers, and we recognize the important contributions you make to the American Culinary Federation and its certification programs. Upon recent review, the ACF Certification Commission found that the CCE Video Review Team guidelines were in need of an overhaul. When the video guidelines process began, we had 13 video reviewers. While this was sufficient in years past, we've recently experienced an uptick in applications, creating delays in the turnaround time for some of our candidates from the typical 4 to 6 weeks to as much as 2 to 3 months. Through the work of 2 certification subcommittees and the Certification Commission, a plan was created for implementation in 2019. This is the first phase of the plan, and as we grow our team, we will be implementing ongoing requirements to maintain the standards of this process. In addition, effective January 1, 2019, the video review and the final application will be submitted separately by the candidates. We hope that you're as excited as we are to make the next steps in the review process a reality. Our video review team members experience seasons of time when they are not very active, and other times when large groups of videos come in simultaneously. As you can imagine, this fluctuates with the school year, requiring reviewers who are ready and able to respond in a timely manner. Our volunteers must have access to the technology needed to assess instructors, including an email address that you regularly check, internet access for YouTube videos, and document technology software such as Adobe Reader for final critiques and comments. Each video is about an hour long. We provide 10 working days for you to complete your review, but our candidates always appreciate a faster turnaround. All members of the video review team must maintain their ACF professional credentials, including membership and certification. Evaluators must comply with volunteer requirements that include revealing any conflicts of interest, maintaining the confidentiality of candidates, and completing anti-harassment training. New members must be pre-approved and maintain their mentor-trainer status with a minimum of 5 years in culinary education or a CCE status. Since current reviewers are grandfathered in as veteran reviewers, the approved mentor-trainer status does not apply. Most of the CCE and CSCE reviewer requirements coincide with the ACF certification evaluator requirements and will carry over for those members. We are now able to offer evaluators continuing education hours immediately upon approval, as opposed to the quarterly upload that has been completed in the past. Each video review is worth 1 CEH. Our new system also allows us to track candidate and reviewer pass-fail rates. If it has been 2 years and you have not been requested by the National Office to review a video, please contact us prior to the end of the year in question. We do not suspect that this will happen. We have some reviewers who have completed 8 or more reviews this year alone. Having a large group of reviewers allows us to place restrictions on the team while avoiding long turnaround times. Reviewers who do not meet or maintain the credentialing requirements within the period stated will be removed. Reviewers who do not respond for long periods of time will be suspended for 6 months. If this happens more than twice, the reviewer is no longer eligible to review videos. Other possible situations will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis, including extremely high or low pass rates, particularly in cases where you are not in the typical scoring range of other reviewers. For example, a candidate receives a 100% passing score by one reviewer, while the other 2 reviewers fail the candidate. Other possible situations including unethical or inappropriate behaviors. Some examples include not reporting a conflict of interest, rude or inappropriate comments, and revealing private information about a candidate or video to someone outside of the national office. Video reviewers must be objective, disregard any personal bias towards candidates they might feel, and critique a candidate's lesson plan and presentation based on the established CCE video review criteria. The best pass rates for reviewers are typically between 70 and 80%, which shows that the videos are reviewed critically but not harshly. This is similar to the way the practical exams are closed out in our system. The current submission process for candidates is being streamlined beginning December 1, 2018. However, on the reviewer side, this will not change a whole lot. Still, it's important that you are aware of how both processes work, as you are a key piece in this cycle. In the current process, candidates submit their videos with their final certification paperwork, which causes three major concerns. Number one, they are waiting for both their video review and their application, which makes them anxious to know their results. Number two, if they fail the video portion of the application, it is often seen as a denial of the certification itself, which it isn't. And number three, candidates become discouraged and don't follow through on completion of their certification because the process can drag on for more than a month. In the new process, candidates can now submit their video with a $50 fee at any time. After a formal review, the candidates either receive a passing score or are asked to resubmit a new video. The passing form is submitted with their final application, and their final fee is then reduced by $50. We hope this new process addresses those concerns. This is the new video application form and the pass-fail form with feedback that the certification office will complete for the candidate upon review of their submission. These are the new final application forms for the CCE and CSCE certification. Your part of the reviewer evaluation process involves three simple steps. When you receive the email with the YouTube link and lesson plan, respond within 5 working days that you have received it. If we don't receive an email response within that time, we will move on to the next reviewer on the list. Once you accept the responsibility of reviewing the video, a deadline of 10 working days begins. Watch the video and evaluate the lesson based on the prescribed rubric prior to that date. Complete and return the rubric to the national office. Upon receipt, we will compile comments and information into a final critique on the pass-fail form to submit to the candidate. This form is to be returned by the candidates with their final application at a later date. Evaluation is about objectively reviewing the educator and their culinary or pastry skills against the rubric and determining whether they were successful in the presentation of their lesson plan. Since the criteria is weighted more heavily towards the educator elements rather than the candidate's culinary or pastry skills, the expectation is competence over perfection. However, if they are improperly butchering a chicken, they are not modeling the standards of high-quality food, and that should be reflected in your review. Let's review the 16 criteria more specifically. Criteria number 1. Clearly describe learning objectives and activities of the demonstration. The starting point for your evaluation of a candidate's video presentation should be to review the lesson plan and verify learning objectives and activities with measurable outcomes and standards. A candidate should begin their presentation by clearly describing learning objectives and activities through the attached lesson plan that will be demonstrated in the practical presentation. If the learning objectives aren't clear, the lesson does not have a purpose or direction. This is the starting point of your review. Criteria number 2. Present a demonstration that follows the lesson plan submitted. The lesson plan must be supportive of the demonstration, but if the demonstration does not follow the submitted lesson plan, there is a flaw in the execution of their lesson. the instructor needs to work on the alignment of their lesson with the stage plan they set out. Criteria number 3. Clearly describe standards and criteria that are applicable for achieving high-quality prepared foods. This shows that the instructor is knowledgeable in the culinary or pastry area that they are teaching, and it also shows that they are adept at modeling proper kitchen skills. Criteria number 4. Explain potential problems and corrections for demonstrated activities. This is one of the criteria that is missed more often than not. A good presenter will explain what can go wrong and how to fix it when it does happen. Criteria number 5. Clearly describe methods to be used to assess student performance and learning. Students need to know what the expectations are and how they will be assessed when completing the practical exercise. This must be discussed or demonstrated within the video. It is not enough to have it in the lesson plan. Criteria number 6. Describe real-life applications of activities. How does this activity apply in other situations that will happen in the kitchen? A good instructor will relate the lesson to how it is applicable in their day-to-day profession on the job. Criteria number 7. Ask engaging, open-ended, or challenging questions of students during the course of the presentation. Challenge students to think more critically rather than providing all of the answers for them by asking open-ended questions. For example, how does it affect the taste of the chicken when it is boiled rather than roasted? This also engages students in the practical activities of the class. A reviewer should look for how and why questions rather than ones that elicit a yes, no, or true, false answer. Criteria number 8. Conduct a proper closing of the presentation, which includes a summary and/or question and answer session. This should be the first assessment, informal as it may be, and can be the chance you get to address misconceptions. Criteria 9 through 12 are about modeling proper safe food handling practices and presenting a professional appearance and demeanor. This is the part where instructors should practice what they preach. Sanitation is always first and foremost in the kitchen. Presenting a clean and sanitary workstation, actively cleaning that workstation, and washing his or her hands during the presentation demonstrates that the instructor understands, practices, and teaches students the importance of these aspects to protect their customers. Additionally, a chef educator should always present a professional appearance and uniform to their students. Modeling correct techniques is required for the next 4 criteria, which includes using equipment correctly and safely, demonstrating proper use of ingredients, using correct culinary terminology, and explaining key knife handling skills and safety precautions. These are very specific to the technical culinary or pastry skills of a chef instructor. While perfection is not required, if techniques are modeled incorrectly, all students could move forward doing something that is unsafe or improper. This is the main portion of the rubric you will be using that includes the 16 criteria in a fillable PDF format. Your ability to write clearly and concisely is the most important backup information to the candidate's score. Be respectful of the certification process and the candidate, and remain professional in your critique. A passing score is a minimum of 13 out of 16 criteria, or approximately 81%. Remember that the techniques displayed don't need to be perfect. As long as they are technically correct, the candidate should receive credit for that particular rubric entry. The certification office has to provide a critique to the candidate based on your comments, and since none of us actually view the video, please be specific. Provide constructive feedback referring back to the standards and not your opinion. Focus on the skill set you are evaluating. Candidates must be provided meaningful information on their performance. Such information should enable failing candidates to understand their strengths and weaknesses. If you need a secondary paper for your notes, include those with your review as well. This concludes the Culinary Educator video review presentation. Thank you for volunteering to become part of the ACF Certification Review Team. If you have questions, be sure to discuss them with the facilitator, or you can also email your questions to the ACF Certification Office at certinfo@acfchefs.net.